I'm back in Whitby. It's been about a year since I was last in Whitby, and I'm back for the Krampus weekend. This is Krampus night, so Merry Krampus! And I'm going to share with you what it's like to be part of the Whitby Krampus weekend. So if you're looking for an alternative to merry, jolly Santa Claus, Candy Cane Lane, then you've come to the right place, because we're in the Gothic capital of the UK for some spooky, creepy Christmas vibes. So stick with me and let's meet the monsters. This is Meet the Krampuses at the Royal Whitby Hotel, and I found something that could transform me into a top quality Krampus, and this is my personal favourite mask. I wonder why. The Krampuses are awake. Good evening. Welcome back to the Brocarde show, and I'm back in Whitby. It's been about a year since I was last in Whitby, and I'm back for the Krampus weekend. This is Krampus night, so Merry Krampus! And for those of you who don't know, Krampus is almost like the arch nemesis to Saint Nicholas. The legend, the folklore, the fabulous stories surrounding the Krampus tribe is well and truly alive in Whitby. Now, this tradition is a little bit controversial because we are talking about crazy satanic monsters beating young children if they were naughty, instead of giving them presents like Saint Nicholas would. So this tradition is celebrated across Austria, across northern Italy, across Germany, and in the UK it's celebrated very heavily in Whitby. So I've just checked into the Royal Hotel and I'm in a 4-poster room. As you can see, the bed stealing my shot. Now this hotel has a few spooky tales to tell itself, and it's the focal point of Whitby Krampus weekend. There are a lot of events in and around the city, but all roads seem to lead back to the Royal Hotel. There is a meet and greet with the Krampuses this evening. There is a Krampus ball tomorrow, and there is a Krampus run tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. So I'm going to be on the hunt for scary, creepy Krampuses, and I'm going to share with you what it's like to be part of the Whitby Krampus weekend. So if you're looking for an alternative to merry, jolly Santa Claus, Candy Cane Lane, then you've come to the right place, because we're in the Gothic capital of the UK for some spooky, creepy Christmas vibes. So stick with me and let's meet the monsters. The Royal Whitby Hotel does have a few ghost stories of its own. It's believed to be haunted. A lot of staff working here have reported sightings of paranormal activity. So not only am I attending the Whitby Krampus weekend, but I'm staying overnight in another one of Whitby's haunted hotels. So apparently a lot of the paranormal reports focus around the fact that this hotel was an army base in World War II, and allegedly some remains were found in one of the rooms, and that has led to some speculation that this place is haunted. I will dive a little deeper into the rabbit hole of the hauntings later, but there could be also some ghost sightings during my stay, so I'm strapped in for monsters of any kind, and Merry Krampus! For those of you who've tuned in, who just want to know what it's like to stay at this hotel, well, it's quite a vast hotel, and the exciting thing about this four-poster room is that out of the very window you can see the iconic derelict ruins of Whitby Abbey, and we are at the start of December. It's freezing cold, it's bitterly cold, we're on the coast, the wind is howling at the windows. It is a perfect setting for a horror, it's the perfect setting for a horror movie, dare I say it. And when I open those shutters in the morning, I'm going to be greeted by the glorious remains of Whitby Abbey, and I can see that creepy haunted lighthouse and the view across the bay. This is Meet the Krampuses at the Royal Whitby Hotel, and I found something that could transform me into a top quality Krampus, and this is my personal favourite mask. I wonder why. I definitely could assume this role and scare the hell out of everyone.
Like that. Just got to be careful.
Good morning. As you can see, I'm still in Whitby, back in my room at the Royal Hotel. So last night, as I said, it was the Meet the Krampus event. I was expecting Krampuses en masse. I was expecting fully masked, beasted creatures of the night. There was a few Krampuses at the event last night. However, I think a lot of the Krampuses were resting unmasked in preparation for the main event today. So, what is a Krampus? As I touched upon yesterday, Krampus is a tradition that predates Christianity. So we're talking about a long-standing tradition that is celebrated across Europe, particularly in the Alpine regions of Austria and Bavaria and northern Italy. And I wanted to know why we are celebrating Krampus here in Whitby. Now, many of you know that Whitby is known for being one of those places that celebrates everything that is a little bit outside of what we class as normal. Now, I'm not one of those people who likes to categorize and stereotype, but this is home to Whitby Goth Weekend. This is home to a large amount of ghost stories. Folklore and tradition is celebrated in Whitby in various different forms throughout the year. There is always something alternative, always something quirky, and always something bizarre and unusual going on in Whitby, and that's why so many people love it, and that's why it's referred to the Gothic capital of the UK. So of course, Krampus is about traditions that have been passed down for generations and generations and generations, and of course the beasted, hairy, horned figure that traditionally roams through the mountainous, snowy regions of places like Austria with rattling chains, with rattling cowbells. This creature was supposed to scare children into behaving well at Christmas. And of course, there's the horrible, creepy stories that everyone used to tell their children to make them behave, like you're going to be snatched and beaten and hit by a large birch tree by these Krampus. You're going to be whipped if you misbehave. And I think obviously now that's a kind of a controversial approach to parenting, but you know, we can get politically correct about everything. You know, we are not here celebrating the fact that Krampus apparently beat children. You know, this is about upholding traditions, and this is about celebrating things that are a little bit outside the ordinary. And of course, you know, we celebrate Santa everywhere. We celebrate Father Christmas. We have holly jolly holidays throughout the country, and this event is an alternative to that. And if you don't want to get on board with the creepy Krampuses, then you do not have to come to Whitby this weekend, and you do not have to celebrate a Krampus Christmas at all. So the Krampus Run has actually been going for 11 years, and this is the first time that it's using the Royal Hotel as its base. I think I mentioned yesterday that there is a Krampus ball this evening in the hotel, and there are events throughout the city today and some tomorrow morning. I'm not quite sure exactly what today is going to hold. I'm going to take my camera out onto the streets. There's probably going to be some roaming Krampuses. There's apparently a procession. There's beating of drums. There's celebrating in various different forms. So I will take the camera to the streets in a minute, but I just wanted to go back to what does Krampus mean? What does Krampus mean to you? What does Krampus mean to people? And I'm an observational character. It's part of my job to be observational. I'm a songwriter, I'm a writer. I observe people and I observe how people behave. And I was saying the event last night, the Meet the Krampuses, you know, there was 1 or 2 people in these masks, and I was also told that some of these masks are literally hand carved out of bone, and a lot of these Krampuses that come to the Whitby event have actually gone to the Austrian Alps to get their costumes, to get those masks custom made for themselves. So there's a lot of effort and there's a lot of commitment to the Krampus that goes into this event behind the scenes. But what I was going to say also is there are a lot of people who are interpreting Krampus in their own way. This, for many people, this is kind of like a kind of Gothic alternative event. And last night, you know, there was young people who kind of are cosplaying Krampus. You know, they seeing this as an opportunity to be part of a community and be part of a project and to dress up and to parade and have their own horns or have their own interpretation of what this Krampus tradition means to them. I mean, not everyone can go on a pilgrimage to Austria. And of course, if you're a teenager and you want to take part in these sorts of events, then your costume is going to be slightly more reined down and reined in. And it's your kind of opportunity to get creative, I guess. And that can't be a bad thing. You know, bringing people together, having a sense of community and having a sense of creativity can never be a bad thing. And I think that's what's kind of quite unique about this event. Obviously, as it's been running for 11 years, it has built up a kind of core group of Krampuses and a core group of Krampus followers. So yeah, it's fascinating for me because this is the first time I've come to the Krampus event. I am dying to go into the Austrian Alps and experience Krampus from a more traditional, more Alpine, you know, those kind of furry horned characters dragging cowbells through the Alps would be pretty magical and pretty fantastic to see. So next year I'm going to put that on my to-do list. But for this year, I'm staying closer to home. Speaking of creativity, I am not necessarily one for buying band merch, but last night I actually bought something off this punk band. Excuse me, I cannot remember their name, but look at that. That's quite a stunning belt. This is all handmade. Apparently this is from a car roof. Now, when the guy said that, I was like, pardon? What do you mean? But I'm guessing the leather that is inside a car roof and not the actual car roof. My brain last night was like, what, a car roof? Sorry, confusing. But yeah, this is all handmade and these huge giant safety pins. And yeah, you have to support local creatives. And, you know, I'm not one of those people that likes, you know, there is so much Temu tat and people upselling stuff from Amazon, and once you've seen one wooden duck, you've seen 100. But if something is generally like handmade, and you can tell when something's handmade because it's imperfect, but it's imperfect in a good way, then I will support the creative community. And I don't know if those bands are getting paid last night. I hope they would be, but obviously I more than anyone know what it's like to be a musician, and you don't get paid too much from Spotify and these small independent gigs are probably not going to be paying the big bucks. So you have to support local artists where you can. So that was my little contribution to the creative community. And it's kind of cool because I jingle and I jangle, so I can kind of like get on the old Krampus train and scare some children. No, I won't be doing that, but I will definitely be observing the activities of today. I have to tell you as well, I have been in this room rambling for far too long, but it's very, very tricky to film because it's so busy in Whitby. Honestly, last night, the event was so packed out, it was shoulder to shoulder. So I didn't get as much footage as I wanted to get, but hopefully today, fingers crossed. Although I have heard stories that literally the narrow streets of Whitby, you are literally shuffling like that. So wish me luck, because I hate being in crowded environments. So I hope that I can actually show some of this Krampus event from the streets of Whitby without being crushed and stressed, and yeah, we'll see. We're trying. I'm going to try. Anyway, I will stop rambling. I was going to say that the fire alarm in this hotel went off at 5 a.m. So everyone from the hotel was piled onto the cliff top. So I was just literally wrapped up in my duvet coat. So yeah, not so sprightly this morning, but I'm plowing through. Anyway, come with me. Come to the streets of Whitby, come downstairs in the hotel, and let's see if we can find some more roaming Krampuses. Merry Krampus! The Krampuses are awake. I'm outside the hotel now, and the Krampuses are slowly starting to emerge. You can probably hear their clattering cowbells, and I think they're all making their way down to the town centre to start the procession and start the drumming. So that was the Whitby Krampus Run 2025 with drumming and bells and yeah, an alternative Christmas celebration. But that's just the start of it, so stick with me and we'll see what else unfolds later on today. as you can no doubt see and hear behind me, Krampus at sunset gets a little bit more exciting. Now, this has been an interesting day. I got a few little snippets of parades and ceremonies earlier, but really this is free roaming Krampuses across the village of Whitby. And I say village because I have it on good authority that this is a village, not a town. Maybe more because of its mentality. But yeah, this is still going on. We are welcoming a Viking ship into the harbour behind me, and it's pretty cool. Like, the sunset is actually pretty epic, and with the ceremonial dancing and chanting and releasing the dragon, I think the Krampus parade definitely gets better after dark. So the day is unfolding. There is more Krampuses coming alive. Like I said last night, after dark, the Krampuses are coming out of their shell and coming alive. And there's a kind of nice little buzz around town. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a kind of mystical, magical energy, which I guess is very Krampus focused. What better place to conclude my Whitby Krampus weekend than under the Whitby Whalebones? So, regardless of your thoughts on Krampus, you will have to agree that is an alternative way to celebrate Christmas. Merry Krampus, everybody, and regular Christmas activity will resume imminently. Jingle all the way. Ho, ho, ho. If you enjoyed that little adventure, then feel free to come with me on many more. Follow, like, subscribe, and if you are a Krampus, please share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're not a Krampus, why the hell not? Go and get your costume and join in the festivities.